Seen the movie knowing, right? According to the plot, the characters found an unusual time capsule, and then, well, we won't spoil it for you. However, time capsules are not the yasu fantasy of some writer, but a very real thing that can be found in different parts of our planet, and even beyond. In this video, we have a collection of the most incredible time capsules in the history of humankind. Let's get it on. In 1940, scientists from the University of Oglethorpe created the Crypt of Civilization, a sealed capsule with historical documents, microfilm, and even ordinary household items of that era inside. By the way, it's meant to be opened in 8113. It's difficult to imagine who will live in this period on our planet or even in our galaxy. It took 4 years to build the Crypt of Civilization, Aritigia, and it was officially recognized as the first successful modern time capsule. Originally, this idea belonged to the Sunni rector of the university, Thornwell Jacobs, who was inspired by the tomb of Tutankhamun. Inside the crypts, they placed encyclopedias, historical books, various scientific works, newspapers of that time, books about travel, and much more. It's funny, but scientists even made sure that, after 6,000 years, someone could learn English, and for this purpose, they placed a special training device in the capsule. However, in the crypt, there were not only really significant things, but also strange things. For example, a set of artificial nails, a glass female head, a plastic bird, 2 dummies of different sex, a cigarette holder, a deck of playing cards, and even a Donald Duck toy. Well, for us, it's still a mystery how these people select items for this unusual crypt. We're sure you've never thought that every day, on your way to work or study, you might be walking right above the hidden messages of the past. And although it seems unrealistic to stumble upon such a find, a Los Angeles Times historian named Larry Harnish discovered a time capsule inside the Magnolia Bridge in the city of Burbank. As it turned out later, the time capsule was buried on February 5th, 1959, and its opening was planned for 2009. By the way, before that, Burbank was famous for its television and film studios. Perhaps for this reason, the time capsule contained film footage and photographs of the city. In addition, there were dreams of people about the future written down. According to these predictions, by 2009, moving sidewalks and underground nuclear power plants were expected to appear in America. Well, in some ways the creators of the capsule were right. Remember, moving walkways at the airport, which allow you to speed up and facilitate the movements of passengers. It seems the predictions are coming true. Wow. One of the most amazing time capsules is at a distance of 12 billion miles from our planet. The thing is that in 1977, the Voyager 1 spacecraft was launched into space, and it had a golden plate attached with messages intended for extraterrestrial civilizations. Therefore, if the aliens once stumble upon this unusual capsule, they'll find a gold-plated disc that contains 115 slides of scientific data, Earth views, photos of animals and humans, and an explanation of their anatomical structure. At the same time, there are recordings of the sound of waves, the rustle of leaves, the voices of different animals, birds, and human speech in 58 languages, as well as various music, folk melodies from around the world, classics and jazz pieces by Louis Armstrong and Chuck Berry. There's also a note from President Jimmy Carter, which expresses the hope that the day will come when the problems of humanity will be solved and humans will join the galactic civilization. And of course, it's said that the golden disc with messages is a kind of gift from a small remote world with its sounds, images, science, music, thoughts, and feelings. We agree that this sounds fantastically weird, but perhaps on this second, yes, right now, the aliens have already noticed the Voyager and sent their spaceships towards it. In 2017, residents at the American county of Shula, Missouri, opened a time capsule buried near one of the local schools in 1908. There was an ordinary parcel post inside, tightly threaded, but the locals were amazed that after more than 100 years, the thread was still tightly fastening the packaging. Turned out that 110 years ago, school kids from Missouri deliberately hid the capsule. There was some quite commonplace subject, although, what else can you expect from ordinary guys? You probably just put in there something that previously laid in their pockets. The box contains several handwritten articles, a horse-shaped ring, some kind of bracelet, and other trinkets. Local business persons wrote some of the texts. Most likely, they belonged to the found parents of school children who took part in the creation of the time capsule. To date, the original artifact are in the City Museum. Back in 1983, Aspen hosted an international design conference, and one of the participants was the famous founder of Apple, Steve Jobs. After the event came to an end, all guests were invited to make a time capsule in which they could leave messages to future generations. According to the idea, the container was supposed to be opened in the year 2000, but it didn't happen then, nor even after 10 years, because the capsule was just lost. Well, quite a cunning way of storage. However, the team of the National Geographic program diggers got to the truth, and now we can finally find out what the father of Apple left for us. In simple terms, the capsule was an ordinary 13-foot-long tube, full of a lot of different things. Participants of the conference left everything that came to hand, from Rubik's Cubes and Vogue magazines to simple stickers with names. But what did Jobs leave us? A mouse? Yes, it was the good old Apple mouse, which Steve used during the conference, and at the same time one of the first devices that he ever created. These are symbols of the great hope of God, the founders of the United States. So people said about the objects found in a time capsule in the wall of Massachusetts State House, placed there more than 200 years ago. The find looks rather boring. It's just a small copper box weighing 10 pounds. But when it was opened, it turned out that it contained 2 dozens of ancient gold and silver coins, a bronze medal featuring George Washington, several newspapers, a seal of the state of Massachusetts, and other items from 2 centuries ago. By the way, this capsule is considered the oldest one ever found in the U.S. It was decided that its contents would be displayed for some time at the Boston Museum of Fine Arts, and then it would be repacked in a copper container and returned to its original place, but with a couple of items from the present. Imagine if this continues for several centuries. Then, after a long time, someone will get a truly unique collection of objects from different eras and a very, very heavy box. The old State House building in Boston is easily recognizable, not only because of its architecture, but also because of the golden lion that's been sitting on the roof of the building since 1901. For a long time, the statue was an object of interest, because according to the local legend, there was a time capsule hidden inside the metal animal. In October 2014, the secret was revealed. The fact is that at this time, the golden lion was temporarily dismantled for repair, and one of the restorers, Robert Scher, decided to check whether the rumors were true. The man put a fiber optic camera through a hole in the head of the iron predator, and indeed, he discovered a copper box there. At the autopsy, many artifacts like old photographs and scraps from local newspapers at the time were found in it. In addition, the restorer was really surprised by the discovered pins with images of Roosevelt and McKinley, and a piece of wood left from the original statue. Yes, once the golden lion was really wooden. The time capsule that you see now was laid in New York at the 1939 International Exhibition. Designed for 5,000 years. It was created by the electric company Westinghouse. According to the idea, this capsule was supposed to symbolize the achievements of the 20th century. Therefore, it turned out to be just an enormous quantity of items. A thread reel, a ballpoint pen, an alphabet block set, various kinds of fabric, metal and plastic, pieces of literature and fine art, seeds in glass tubes, and even a 15-minute news chronicle. The events of the 20th century were recorded on the microfile tape. That comes with a special microscope for viewing, and instructions on how to make a large projector. Yes, we told you that there were a lot of interesting things in the capsule. And in addition, they put several copies of Life magazine, and a pack of Camel cigarettes, and apart from different objects, several well-known thinkers left messages for our descendants. Among them, for example, was a letter from Albert Einstein. You know, it is interesting to know how people in 1939 will react to this unusual gift from the past. Or will they be robots who only twist their fingers at their iron temples when they see seeds, cubes, and threads? And this time, Capsule was found during the works on the territory of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Yes, it's the third find in Massachusetts. It seems that time capsules in this state are buried at every step. But back to the one found in MIT. First of all, you can see the instruction not to open it until June 5th, 2057. On the outside, the find resembles a glass flask, which, by the way, was sealed by the president of the institute in 1957. There was a note in the capsule, and it said that documents on the meeting, in review and use, state of science are contained inside. As it turned out, there is.
Thank you for watching till the end. I hope you liked it. Subscribing really helps this channel grow. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and share the love by sending this video to someone.